Warning. This podcast contains spoilers.
Third World Cinema Club.
Hello everyone, welcome to Third World Cinema Club. I'm John Tawasil from Present Confusion. Sino susunod? Ito na naman tayo.
Ikaw na, Ses.
Ikaw na.
Ses.
Hi, kaya ko si Princess. Ganun intro. Hi, this is Princess Kinok of Film Police Reviews.
And hi, I'm Jim of Jimmy Kulat Iba Pa. Makalat po mag-review.
So today, we're gonna talk about the recently concluded Japanese Film Festival Online 2022. So this wholly online film festival reaches a lot of, this is from the Japan Foundation. Siguro may Japan Foundation for every country siguro. They are showing us a selection of films, either mga hits from previous festivals nila, classic films like Rashomon, and also a few new films. Si Princess actually, ito disclaimer, si Princess has actually participated in a discussion about one of these films, no, for the Japan Foundation itself. So, yeah, by default she's watched a film already from this selection. Ako, either in previous film festivals or within this online festival itself, I watched all of them. And Jim has watched, I think, 3 or 4? 3 films from the festival. So, ngayon, pag-uusapan natin 5 pelikula na nasa festival na to. So, we'll start first with, ako personally, one of my favorite films of 2021. I watched this at the, I think this is either Fantasia. Fantasia Film Festival last year. Thank you again to our kapwa Film Police.
Thank you, Kuya Roland.
Yeah, thank you, Kuya Roland, for letting us watch. This is a film from Matsumoto Soshi. It's titled, it's a summer film, and it's about a group of 3 high school girls who are tasked with making a film for their school festival. It's sa parang tradition sa school sa Japan na magkaroon sila ng festival, mga class versus class na pabonggahan ng na pwede nilang gawin. Minsan nagpapakafe yan, minsan gumagawa sila ng film, may film showing. Depende sa class mo, sa club mo na pinaparticipatean. It's called a bunkasai, no? And in this case, one of them who's a film nut decides to make a period film, basically. While the other class makes yung parang rom-com na, alam mo yon, yung rom-com, yung ganun. So, yeah, Chambara is a sword fighting film, no? And a film from that period is Jidaigeki. Yun. So, Chambara more in the style of Lone Wolf and Cub, Zatoichi, mga ganun. So anyway, siguro start na lang muna ako for this film. Yeah, I really, really like this film. It's one of my favorite films, sabi ko nga, of 2021. And to me, it's a mishmash of different genres, diba? It's a very quirky, fun film about filmmaking. And the Japanese are very good at making films about filmmaking, lalo na yung mga contemporary. If you remember recently, One Cut of the Dead was it's technically a genre film, pero parang in the second half, parang may meta na pumasok about filmmaking itself. And it's a summer film has always hit me as a love story. It's a love story na yung the filmmaker falling in love with cinema itself. Not with a guy, not with a boyfriend, pero yung paggawa ng pelikula mismo. Ayun, it's labas doon yung parang ano dapat yung gustong gawin ng isang filmmaker, ano yung kanyang hang-ups about making films, parang commercialization or making genre films over parang quote-unquote serious films. May parang semi-discussion din dyan. And also, it's a very kumbaga coming of age movie, not just for filmmaking itself, pero in these teenage characters na syempre they're moving into a bigger world. Yun. And yun, may pagka sci-fi din siya, pero spoiler, so I won't say anything more. Sige, Princess, ikaw, your thoughts on It's a Summer Film?
Nagulat talaga ako. Pero ayun nga. So, hindi ko siya napanood nung Fantasia. So, excited ako nung nagkaroon ako ng chance panoorin siya dito sa JFF. And yes, I definitely agree na I saw it actually as a love story to filmmaking. Or not just to filmmaking, pero kahit sa love mo for cinema. And it's beautifully told. Tapos gusto ko yung way na parang dinisect siya not into like this very academic background na parang, okay, this is filmmaking, lights, ganyan. Very natural lang siya na parang kahit sinong bata or matanda na makapanood nito, para maaliw sila na, yeah, ganyan nga yun. Yeah, nandyan si Zatoichi, yes, ganyan yung mga Shambara films nung araw, ganyan. And at the same time, yes, ganyan ang mga rom-com, kailangan mas cute, mas cheesy, mas maraming drone shots, the better, ganyan. And yes, kailangan i-resurrect natin yung mga old girlfriends, ganyan. So yun, so very, siya, it's maganda yung mga instruments na ginamit nila dito. Like the, spoiler alert, the means of using time. Not just, when the students come back to the past, which is they relive the classic films, pero pati na rin yung pag-describe ng changes on how we appreciate film. So, hindi ko na sabihin kung ano yung mga parts na yun. If ever, kung sino makinig dito at i-try hanapin yung kopya or something, diba?
There's so many Easter eggs din and references to lovers of Japanese film. Mga Japanese cinephiles. Parang yung mga posters na nakadikit doon sa
sa bahay niya.
Sa bahay niya.
Tapos yung pati nga, 'di ba, parang kinuha siya. Spoiler alert. So hinantik yung bida si Barefoot. Hinantik siya nung kabilang group to portray an old woman. Tapos parang pati yung cheesy na way of portraying an old woman nung araw. Parang siya na mismo naglagay na dapat sobrang puti ng makeup, dapat mukha akong geisha, mukha akong ganito, ganyan. So yun. So ang galing. Tapos at the same time, I like it na hindi ito parang akala mo sa una, mga 90s siya na yung style niya. Pero yun pala, set siya in real time na naka-smartphone lahat, may drones. Tapos handheld pa yung camera na wow, oo nga. So yun, as someone who is in love with cinema, it's a great way to start watching the festival with this. Kasi lalo kung hindi ka familiar sa Japanese cinema, kasi at least magkakaroon ka ng idea. Para siyang naging backbone eh. Sorry, Jim, if ever. Pero I think meron kang i-expound dito sa part. Pero gusto ko yung last part na nag-theater style. Kasi ang alam ko, yung Japanese cinema, doon sila nag-start eh. Yung parang they play with shadows, di ba? Tapos the way that they lighted it, ganyan. Tapos gusto ko rin yung sinabi niya about love. Parang she said that killing, yung the way that she wanted to end her film was because killing is is an act of love. Diba? Pero she said it in the filmmaking sense na if I don't finish this properly, it's like I never have loved at all. Parang ganun. Wow. Alam ko pa na sinabi ko. Parang ganun. So, yun. So, tas, cute anecdote, nung high school ako, nagsulat ako ng, play. Yung play ko, sobrang kwela lang niya na niloko-loko ko yung mga panahon nila Lapu-Lapu, tas hanggang sa, kasi uso nun, sorry guys, alam niyo na age ko. Uso kasi nun yung Hello Garci. So, niloko-loko ko si Hello Garci, ganyan-ganyan. So, para siyang time periods, ganyan. Tapos, sorry, pagyayabang ko lang ng slide. Naalala ko kasi sa scene na yun. Naging groundbreaking siya kasi nasa stage kami noong una. Kasi hindi ko alam kung paano siya i-end. So, pati yung director ko nun, hindi niya alam paano i-end. So, sabi ko, i-end natin siya by this. So, parang yung mga point na characters, bumaba sa stage. Tapos, kinakausap nila yung audience. So, parang yung audience nun, nanalo kami. Tapos, ang taas ng grade ko. Nanalo kami kasi parang yung feeling ng audience, kasama ako. Parang ganun. I'm part of this. Ganun. Hindi ko kasi din alam paano siya i-end. So, dinamay-damay ko na lang lahat. So, parang yun. Diba?
Naging
So, ang
parang
ganda.
meta, ano siya parang meta cinematic.
Mm-mm.
The film is being made in front of you. It's being performed in front of you. Tapos, yun nga.
Yes.
Anyway, yun.
Ikaw naman, Jim. Yun.
Jim, ikaw.
Actually, di ko rin ito napanood ng Fantasia Film Fest. Kasi yun yung time na, alam mo naman ang internet natin dito, not really good. Ganon. So, I wasn't able to watch it. And then, nung buti na lang si Japan, Foundation, kasama siya sa selection of films. Shucks. Number 1 ko na yun sa watch list kasi napanood niya dyan, nagustuhan din ni Kuya Roland, ganon. So, regarding the film, nagustuhan ko din siya kasi of course, it's about love for cinema and filmmaking, ganon. Ang Japan or Japanese film or cinema, hindi na sa kanila, kumbaga, they always make yung mga ganitong stories, no, or films. Like nabanggit nga kanina ni John, yung One Cut of the Dead na super enjoy din panoorin. And then, kasabay last year na napanood ko na may ganyan na medyo similar theme, yung Red Post Box on Escher Street by Sean Sono. Diba?
Red Post on Escher Street.
So, sabi ko, wow, talagang, alam mo yung parang One Cut of the Dead, Red Post Box on Escher Street, and then ito, it's a summer film. Ang maganda with sa summer film, maikli siya, compare mo dun sa nabanggit kong una. Diba may maikli lang si it's a summer film. Tapos ang observation ko with the film, kasi diba, parang makikita mo yung the way they make the film, mas nag-i-enjoy yung isang grupo about doing the rom-com film. And then, di ba, nung mayroong pagboboto, mas maraming sumuporta doon rather than doon sa present niya or pinitch niya na Shambara or samurai film. Ganun. Kaya, di ba, ang gusto niya mangyari is gumawa ng isang samurai film because yun yung niya yung favorite niyang subgenre ng pelikula. Di ba? And then, ang gustong-gusto ko dito sa film is yung pinakitang friendship, 'di ba, nung do sa tatlong high school girls. While watching, sarap naman magkaroon ng mga kaibigang naniniwala sa vision mo. Yung suportahan ka.
Feel ko yan.
'Di ba? Kasi not all people will believe in you, pero sila yung makikita mo super supportive na parang sige go, parang mega hatak, mega kuha ng props, ganon, ganyan. Tapos talagang sila na yung 'di ba? Talagang pushy din, ganun. Kasi determined din naman kasi yung bida, si Marika Ito. Na itong naman Marika Ito naman, parang female version ni Song Joong-ki pag tinititigan ko siya while watching the film. Ayun. Tapos ang kakaiba, spoiler alert na to, no? Kakaiba dito sa film, 'di ba may isang character na lalaki na gusto niyang maging lead actor dun sa ginagawa ng film. Yung pala ay galing ito sa future. Tapos, di ba ang ni-reveal ay wala nang bakas ng cinema in the future. No? So parang, hindi kaya malayong mangyari. No? While watching it, parang, oo nga, no? Kasi kung ngayon pa lang, nandito na yung online streaming or yung mga content which is debatable, di ba? Or polarizing na, matuturing ba na form of cinema ang content, no? Content creation. Kasi minsan mahirap na rin siyang i-determine kasi it could be considered as a short film, which is somewhat yun din yung inaano din ng film, 'di ba? Pero ang nakakatuwa doon kasi 'di ba the lead actor wanted to yung gumaganap na gustong maging lead actor doon sa film kasi it's a film within a film, wanted to preserve, 'di ba, the cinema. Kasi ang problema or the concern doon sa film ay yung debut film, which was yung ginagawa nga nila, ay lost copy.
Media.
Lost media. So parang iniisip ko, paano magiging lost? Siguro kung classic cinema pa siya, like mga 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s, gano'n, 70s, hindi siya mape-preserve. Lalo na dito sa atin, di ba? Lalo na dito sa Pilipinas, ang daming lost films, di ba? So, with the melu ng pelikula na modern day naman, paano malo-lost yun? Yung, makikita rin naman yun later on sa pelikula. Bakit malolost
Ba't
yung
na-lost?
pelikula. Ba't
Pero alam mo,
na-lost?
to be fair, maraming lost media ang nawawala dahil minsan harang siya ng institution. Hindi ako nagre-refer doon sa It's a Summer Film. Parang sa institution, kunyari, there is si Ryusuke Hamaguchi who directed Drive My Car, Wheel of Fortune and Fantasy. He has a film adaptation of a Shakespeare play, parang modernized na Shakespeare adaptation, which is one of his early, parang thesis film niya. Pero yun nga, since thesis film siya, nasa vault siya somewhere ng university ng pinag-aralan niya. Tapos syempre, because of rights issues, hindi nila mailalabas yun. Ewan ko Shakespeare film, basta parang isang adaptation of a classic work of literature or art na hindi ko matandaan kung ano. Pero anyway, may mga ganun din eh. Tapos meron mga kung hindi lost to time, parang lost to technology. Hard drives nasisira yan.
Yun din eh. Yun din ang ano natin concern pagdating sa mga hard drives. Kahit na na-archive, kailangan pa rin talaga siya ng great care kasi pag hindi, malolost talaga yung pelikula.
In terms of sorry Jim, please continue.
Speaking of mga student films, naalala ko one time nung umattend ako ng seminar ni Sir Nick de Ocampo. Pandemic yun. Parang their goal ay to i-archive yung mga student films ng UP. Kasi 'di ba, mostly naman talaga ng yung mga thesis films, mga films sa ganito, short films, thesis films ng college, 'di ba? Hindi na siya na-archive or na-preserve kaya wala nang, 'di ba? Parang in fairness, no, kung i-connect mo siya with the summer film, possible talaga siya na at nangyayari, ganun. Lalo na noon, ngayon kasi medyo parang may mga part na meron ng paraan to archive or preserve a film. Nga lang depende na lang talaga kung may mga circumstances like yan nga, 'di ba, yung nabanggit mo like kay Hamaguchi.
Minsan nawawala na lang yan eh. Like I'm sure nakapanood kayo ng film sa YouTube na siguro 10 years ago nandun pa siya sa site. Pero ngayon wala na. Inalis na, hindi na uploaded. So yun. It's also parang film history din. No? It's a commentary din on film history.
Yes.
How we value films compared to other forms of art. Kasi yung ibang forms of art, if it's a painting, ganyan, mawawala lang yan kung literal na nawala mo. Pero a film can be copied and still retain yung original niya. Kasi kung kinopya mo yung Mona Lisa, kunyari, inimitate mo, it's not the same thing as yung naka-display sa Louvre. Pero kung kunyari, namirata ka ng film, kunyari, bayan ko ni,
Gino Broca.
Pag kinopya mo yan, pinanood mo, kahit saan mo panoorin, yun pa rin yun. I mean, it's still, for some reason, it still retains its artistic value.
Saka nakakatuwa kasi isipin mo with it's a summer film. Another point, kasi di ba ang cinema is one of the youngest form of art. And in It's a Summer Film, yung gumagawa ng film ay mga kabataan, youth. Mga bata na sila, di ba? So it also represents yung the age of cinema, di ba? Ganun. Tapos ano pa bang mga nagustuhan ko with It's a Summer Film aside from yung mga commentary about film history something. Kasi naalala ko diyan, 'di ba yung Crazy World? 'Di ba yung 'di ba parang amateurish yung pagkakagawa, even the props, very improvised. Pero here in sorry.
Pero di ba labor of love talaga siya eh?
Yes, labor of love. Here naman it's a summer film. Wow, ito mga kabataan. Sige, talagang pabonggahan ng mga at may drone, 'di ba?
May drone sila.
Oo. Parang in reality in Philippines, no, ang hindi namin kaya, lalo kung hindi naman talaga na mayayaman. Oh my gosh, we cannot afford that. Pero in fairness, it's a summer film, parang may mga drones. Pero in fairness dun sa ginawa ng character ni Marika Ito, wala siyang drone, 'di ba? Talagang galing din ng mga shots. Although it's gawa na ng filmmaker yun ng
they
film
managed,
talaga.
kahit na limited yung resources nila, they still managed to improvise.
Yes.
Oo nga.
Lalo na yung sa mga fighting scenes, taray.
Nakakatawa.
Oo, parang ano na talaga ha, parang mga tawag ito yun na nga yung mga nababanggit yun ng mga Zatoichi ng mga samurai references.
May tanong pala ako sa inyo. As inanood ko siya twice. Tapos hindi ko talaga magets bakit siya kilala ni spoiler alert. Since nandito ka na, kung sino ka man nakikinig, for sure napanood mo na to.
You've been warned.
You've come this far.
You've been warned.
May part doon sa umpisa, nanood siya ng sine. Tapos nandun din si Guy. Tapos, bakit kilala ni girl si Guy? Si Guy, kilala niya si girl kasi he's from the tutut, di ba? Pero,
tutut.
Hindi ko
nabanggit ko na kanina eh.
Pero
bakit
niya, may recognition?
Bakit niya? Oo.
I think parang yun yung, ang pagkakaintindi ko, siya yung peg niya for something.
Actually, siya yung peg niya.
Parang
nadodrawing na niya eh.
Oo.
Diba dito-drawing na niya nung first part ng film. Tapos, di ba nung may part dun sa film, yung mga unang scenes ng film, yung parang naglalakad siya, biglang naano siya ng bike, and then nakita niya yung guy. Parang na-envision niya agad yung physical aspect.
Okay. I see. Thank you, guys.
I guess parang pang-close lang a little bit about na-interest din ako sa film na to because of Marika Ito. Marika Ito is an idol singer actually. She used to be a part of the group Nogizaka 46. Na umalis siya around 2016. I'm gonna guess 2017. And rin siya, artist siya, as in illustrator siya. And she has, may mga art exhibits na yung batang yan. So, very impressive.
Cute.
I'm looking
Familiar
forward.
Yung name niya eh. Familiar yung name niya,
So
Marika Ito.
Kung meron kayo guys na Netflix, makikita-kita nyo sa tabi-tabi sa Kakegurui live action. Nasa Netflix yon. Nandun siya sa tabi-tabi. Baka long hair siya doon. Pero usually kasi long hair siya. Pero yun. Anyway, it's a summer film. Please watch it. It's really great.
Yeah. One of the best films of 2021.
Yes.
For me,
the summer. Ako din.
Yes.
I love
so,
it.
the next film is a film that I watched and the film that Jim watched. It's directed by Hisashi Kimura. It's called Masked Ward, or in Japanese, Kamen Byoto. This film is based on a novel by Mikito Chinen. I think he's a doctor. Alam ko doctor yan eh. It's about, so this guy, magjo-duty siya sa isang ospital. Okay? Parang, sabi sa kanya na friend niya, oy, tara, mag-duty ka dito. Madali lang dito. Ganyan.
Ano siya, brother-in-law? Hindi
brother-in-law, oh.
Brother-in-law niya.
And then nag-start na siya mag-duty doon. Biglang dumating ang isang masked criminal
yes.
na kakarob lang niya ng isang
convenience store.
So, ayun, tapos meron siyang daladalang babae na may gunshot wound basically. Tapos sinasabi niya dito doon sa mga doktor and hospital staff, i-treat niyo to. At the same time, hinold niyang hostage yung mga hospital staff. But there's more than meets the eye. Transformers. Yeah. So it's a murder mystery na may mga twists. And I guess nakakatulong yung background ni Hisashi Kimura because before directing Masked Ward, he was and still is actually a director for a lot of mga murder mystery crime dramas sa TV. So yun, may background talaga siya, although more TV ang kanyang inclination. And alam mo yun, parang gitna ng pelikula, parang alam ko na kung ano mangyayari. Parang siguro ito yung tapos yung ospital ganon. So alam ko na, to that extent predictable siya. And it's pero the fun of it is trying to get to that moment na parang, tama ako eh. Parang ganun. The acting performances were good. Were good to okay, I guess. Yung pinakapansin mo lang naman dito is the two main protagonists.
Yes.
So si Kentaro Sakaguchi, who plays the young doctor na nag-duty, and yung babae na nasugatan, si Mei Nagano. Again, kung meron kayong Netflix, Mei Nagano is in a show called Mr. Hiragi's Homeroom. Nandun siya. She's also one of the main characters there. And it's a show that sobrang bingeable nun. I highly recommend that show. Pero anyway, balik tayo dun sa Masked. Masaya siya. It's not super substantial. Meron diyang, ang hirap siyang, the best way to experience it talaga is to go in blind. As in, wala kang alam talaga sa kanya. There's a subplot to it na ayoko i-discuss that hints at something bigger. Pero parang walang ginawa doon yung pelikula. Parang sinabi lang niya na dapat ganito.
Actually, yan. Oo nga.
Yun yung kaya for me, medyo insubstantial siya in that respect. Parang gets ko naman na, the film is more concerned with the mystery, ganon. Pero, ayun there's something that can be said about society. Ganon na lang ang sasabihin ko tungkol doon. Na pwede niyang i-explore pero hindi niya na-explore. Sige, Jim, ikaw, what did you think of Masked?
Ako kasi aminado, pinanood ko yung Masked kasi nung nakita ko yung trailer saka yung post, ang gwapo ng bida. Sorry, yun yung naging basihan. Hindi ko binasa yung plot, hindi ko binasa yung tawag dito, hindi ako nagbasa ng other reviews. Ang gwapo ng bida, I want to watch it. Sorry, nagpa-thirst trap, ganyan. Tapos so, pinapanood ko siya, sabi ko, may naaalala akong film na not really that similar, but somewhat, medyo lang naman. Is yung Coma, 1978 film. Starring John V. Bujoe, ganyan. Ang author kasi ng Coma is Robin Cook. No? So si Robin Cook talagang doctor yon, and yung mga novel niya ay medical thriller, and I was able to read nga yung book niya na Vector ata yun. And actually, hindi ko siya nagustuhan kasi nga may mga medical jargon. Parang hindi ko mag-gets, gano'n. Tapos ang director kasi ng Coma si Michael Crichton. And Michael Crichton is also an author and at the same time, filmmaker din siya. So, nung napanood ko kasi yung Coma, nagandahan ako. And at the same time, possible pala yung gano'n na makagawa ng medical thriller na film. And that was the 70s. So, iba yung milieu, yung setting, gano'n. Then ito na nga Masked. So parang may medyo lang naman similarity with Coma. However, ang naging ang observation ko dito, naging sa akin, concern ko dito yung pacing sa yung rhythm ng pelikula kasi at first talagang parang nababagalan ako dun sa pelikula. Kasi parang for a trailer, may mga trailer naman na they are slow burn, pero itong Masked, hindi nakakatulong yung pacing para maging interesting siya. Ang dami ng unfolding of events na nangyayari later on sa pelikula. Yun yung napapansin ko na doon. To the point na gusto ko nang bitawan yung pelikula. Ayoko na siyang panoorin kasi naboboard na ako. Yun yung napapansin ko doon sa Masked. And total nabanggit ko naman kanina yung Coma na film. It's my opinion lang naman na parang it's trying to do a rip-off of Coma but fail to do it, ganon. Pero siguro yung filmmaker di naman siya aware of the film Coma, so he did a different take on that, diba? He did his own reading or interpretation kasi diba sabi mo nga dyan, based din siya sa isang novel.
Ang daming similarities, no? Tapos doktor din yung nagsulat ng novel if I remember correctly.
Diba? Yun pa. So yun lang napansin ko. Saka parang hindi na ako masyadong naging interested kasi tulad na nabanggit mo kanina, I agree, predictable na siya na parang may mga hint na siya agad na ay, okay.
Actually, if you kung panoorin mo ng mabuti yung pelikula, magigets mo yung parang oo nga no.
Ganon. Alam mo, feeling ko nga dyan, ito lang naman, napansin ko na sa pelikula. Parang in-stretch na siya, lalo na dun sa third act na parang, shucks, dapat tinapos na dito sa part na to. Kasi nung, di ba, nung sa huli, parang, grabe, dinagdag nyo pa. Parang,
Actually,
di ba, parang, okay ni, solve na siya dun sa part na.
okay na siya, it could have been okay in like, siguro magtanggal sila mga 15 minutes. Siguro mas okay yung lalabas sa kanya. Pero, wala tayong magagawa dyan. Ayun.
Ayun, oo. Although yun nga, yung nabanggit na nga ni Jan, mayroon siguro ang theme or mga other messages. Actually, multiple messages in pelikula. Na sa sobrang minsan, ini-expose or it's an expose, di ba? Yun nga may manang nagganong
It's an expose.
Yes, it's an expose, ganun. However, sa sobrang, may part di ba na sa sobrang, yung pacing mabagal and then may part na bibidaw ka. Kaso may mga part naman siya din na ang daming binibigay na na info or details na somewhat for me overwhelming na parang noon ang bagal tapos nasa second act ito na yung mga unfolding ng events sa sunod-sunod na parang okay nagiging predictable na siya ganun. Tapos yung third act yun na parang anyari na na dapat tinapos na dun sa sa part na to spoiler alert. Diba? For me, dapat tinapos na siya doon rather than may pahabol pa na epilogue, diba? Yun lang. Yun yung so far na masasabi. Sayang kasi thrilling sana yung film. However, may mga decisions when it comes to the narrative of the story na sana tinanggal na or sana hindi na sinama. Kasi unnecessary na. Ayun. Yun lang naman so far.
Yun lang, oo. Although, I think lang, yung intent was for the epilogue anyway, was to parang give closure dun sa relationship ni Doc tsaka ng babae. Oo. Whatever relationship that is, again, spoiler alert. Pero ngayon, yun nga, yeah, maybe it could have benefited from a more tighter siguro na plot. And I guess, padagdag lang, again, kung gusto niyo ulit makita yung mga actors na to, yan, si Kentaro Sakaguchi, yung doktor, he's also on a Netflix show, Tokyo Tarareva Girls. Playboy siya doon, na parang wow, playboy. Tapos, ayun, actually maraming, sa totoo lang, maliit lang naman ang industriya ng Japanese film. So yung mga actors na yan, kahit kung saan mo sila nakikita. So, yun.
Para siyang Yang Gongyu. Kaya nagagwapo.
Pwede.
Kentaro.
Si
Pero
din.
When it comes to performances, okay naman yung performance.
Yeah, it's fine. They're fine. Yung nurse na isa, yung batang nurse, si Ryo Chida, she's in Mask Rider series. It's Mask Rider Drive, Kamen Rider Drive. So, malamang yung mga tokusatsu fans dyan, napanood nyo na siya before. Or in other capacities, wink. Pero anyway.
Pero alam mo dyan, may naalala pala ako. Kasi di ba mayroon kasi siyang, di ba expose siya?
Yeah.
Tapos, looking back, may naalala ko, parang may concept ako na ganyan. Yung parang, yung kukunin yung organ. Sorry, spoiler alert, may ganun part kasi sa kaya ako na-compare with Komang. Sabi ko, yung Young Jim may ganitong mga concept na ginagawa. Ganyan. Kaya natutuwa ako nung pinapanood ko, okay. Ganyan pala magiging itsura if ever na nag-come into fruition. Pero hindi ganun.
To be fair, the medicine is fine. Yung
ikaw may alam dyan.
ako ng medical
ikaw may alam dyan.
The medicine is fine. Sana mas naging sterile sila, pero alam mo pa naman na emergency yun minsan, emergency surgeries. The wound visual effects look okay, I guess.
Yes.
Pero surprisingly, for a drama that takes place in a hospital, there aren't a lot of parang medical procedures except for yung nangyayari doon sa umpisa. So, I don't know. Okay lang. Sige, okay. Yeah.
Akala ko nga una, parang kung Coma meets John Q ata. Pero hindi siya John Q.
Hindi John Q. Si John Q may iba yung rason niya eh.
Oo, hindi John Q.
Ayoko na mag-spoiler na tayo dito.
Ma-spoil na natin masyado.
Moving on to the next film. Ayan. This is a film that Princess and I watched together. This film is called Aristocrats, or in Japanese, Anoko wa Kizoku. That girl is an aristocrat. So, tawag dito, Yukiko Sode has along with Aristocrats, she's directed only 2 films. The other one is 2015. Yeah, 2015's Good Stripes, which is about a married couple. So, medyo wala masyadong connect dito. Although they're both may parang konting connect with like women. It's a women's issues kind of thing then. And then there's yung bago niyang show which is coming up on Netflix called He's Expecting. So basically lalaki na nabuntis. So alam mo 'yon. Parang they're twisting she yung as far as yung limited na nakita ko from her work. It's yun talaga women's issues talaga yung gusto niya discuss. Pero anyway, Aristocrats is about this very ayoko nga sabihin alta this very siguro lower upper class. May ganun ba? Parang kung sa upper class or sa middle class siya yung pinakataas, or kung parang alta-ish but not quite. Ganon, girl. Anak siya ng doktor. And she is the youngest of 3 sisters. She's being pressured to get married to someone who will take over the family clinic. Yun. So this is a very conservative, very high society-ish family. And the girl is played by Mugi Kadowaki, which is a very great, one of the better actresses in her generation, in my opinion. Yeah, magaling siya umarte. Yun. So she meets a guy who is si Kengo Kora. That's the guy who plays him. And this guy, the character's name is Koichiro. Kung alta na yung character ng babae, mas lalo pang alta yung lalaki.
Mas higher siya.
As in, siya.
Zeus levels.
Ganun. Parang siya, as in, anak yung mga prime ministers, he comes from a political family, to the point na they have her investigated for background. Parang pina-background check siya para walang skandalo na lalabas. Kasi, Japanese, they're very particular about outward appearances. So, yun. So, yun yung unang setup. Tapos, a friend of this woman, si Hanako yung pangalan ng babae. A friend of this woman tells her that she has a calling card or a Amishi. Ano ba tawag doon? Business card with a name of a woman. Tapos nandun sa kabila yung name ng kayang fiancé ni Hanako. So the story then shifts to this other woman. This other woman's name is Miki. Miki is played by Kiko Mizuhara, and she comes from the country, very lower middle class. Her father is a deadbeat dad. Although she's very smart, she's very hardworking. She has a good college education. She goes into a top university, parang Ateneo, ganun. But because her father is a deadbeat, she's forced to drop out. Ayun. And then the film explores the relationship between Miki, who's this country girl, Hanako, who is this alta, and yung lalaki, which is the alta. Koichiro pala, yeah. So yun, no? This I like this film more than I thought I would. Parang yeah. It's very low key, medyo subdued siya. I agree with other reviews calling it that. Parang women, man, women together. Ang naano ko dito, kung sa Pilipinas to, ginawa siguro tong tungkol sa kabit. May sampalan, may hindi ako ang asawa mo, ganyan, di ba? May ganun. But no, here, the different parties, they all meet together, they talk, yung parang maayos ang pag-uusap, and there's a weird solidarity between them, lalo na yung si Hanako at saka si Miki. And yun lang, actually, the story is very simple, pero it shows a lot of things it shows a lot about social stratification. Na tipong number one, there's always a bigger fish, no? Parang kung feel mo mayaman ka na, may mas lalong mayaman pa sa'yo. Tapos, yung restrictive social kumbaga guidelines or whatever you wanna call them sa Japanese society, nadagdagan ba yun with the fact na women in Japan are still not as very highly regarded as the men. It's still a very patriarchal society. So yung tipong social part nun ng pagiging mayaman mo plus yung yung pagiging babae mo, na yung tipo sobrang restricting niya. It's like very a cage, no? And yun nga, women are seen to they function only to bear children, na they don't do anything at home. Kasi kunyari, mayaman ka, anong gagawin mo? Nasa bahay ka lang, di ba? Hindi ka pwede magtrabaho. Kung magtatrabaho ka, you still have to consult it with the family, with the husband. Which, doon, lumabas yun sa pelikula. And to contrast that, yung buhay ni Mickey. Si Mickey is hindi siya graduate ng college kasi nga for financial reasons. But still, she manages to build a company with her friend in the end. May parang solid, in a way, this reminds me a lot of Celine Sciamma's Portrait of a Woman on Fire without the romantic undercurrent in that film, which is mostly this is a film mostly about women, starring women, and whatever men there are in the film, they're mostly pushed to the sidelines. Parang they're either not there or they're parang background characters or they're not as deeply felt. Kasi Yuki Kosode is trying to emphasize these women's roles, these ladies' roles in society. And I think it's also buoyed by a fantastic performance by both Mugi Kadawaki and Kiko Mizuhara, yung dalawang yan. Kasi nung una kong nakita yung poster nito, tas nalaman ko si Kiko Mizuhara yung country girl, parang isip ko, hindi kaya dapat si Kiko Mizuhara yung mayaman? Kasi mas may air talaga si Kiko Mizuhara minsan na na parang very dignified, very very high kasi fashion model siya, so may ine-exude siyang ganun. Pero as I watched the film, bagay kasi
very kasi siya, no?
May edge siya that's not you don't see in a lot of Japanese actresses there. She's willing to do a lot of roles na hindi mo ma-expect sa kanya. Yun na lang. Tsaka si Kiko Mizuhara, parang kahit na walang makeup yan, may tsura pa rin. Tsaka ang ganda ng ang ganda ng damit niya sa film na to. Na it stands out I remember distinctly na may party with a lot of socialite party. Tapos, nakadress lahat ng tao, siya lang nakasuit. Nakasuit na may scarf. Parang wow, parang I get it from a character perspective. Kasi di ba, mahirap siya, she needs connections to build her business. So she's trying to stand out. Kaya very classy.
Particular yung tas hindi pa siya yung parang trying hard na glittery yung suot niya.
That's true.
And, sorry, nag-interject na ako. Pero yun nga, actually yun yung gusto kong i-highlight din na kasi pansinin mo dun sa heyday niya after quitting college tas yun, parang yung na din ako dun sa profession na pinili niya after college na parang isa rin yun sa parang type of profession na in-expect ng mga men ng isang patriarchal society na yan na magiging profession mo, mas mababa ka pa sa akin as in mababa, ganun. Tapos pinatos niya pa din, tapos yung suot niya, pang chipipay din na suot, tapos nakawig pa siya, hanggang sa nagpa-progress siya, hanggang sa naging equal sila somewhat ni Girlie, ni Mugi Kadawaki. Ni Hanako, yan. Naging equal sila dun sa couch scene na nagkita sila. Tas I agree, very subtle yung confrontation scene, which I guess goes back na yung mga Japanese kasi they're very, they do care about their outward appearances and the way that they reflect themselves sa society. So kahit pa dukhayan or kahit galing pa sa mga mayamang pamilya, hindi talaga sila yung masigaw, ma-confront, ganyan. Parang they confront but they don't like, hindi sila nagsisigaw na, alam mo yun. Saka totoo kung siguro pinalabas yan dito, baka may sampalang naganap, inagaw mo ang asawa ko, mga ganun. Pero siya, parang, ay, may papakilala ako sa'yo, mag-usap kayo. Ganun lang. No? And ako, siguro iba naman sa akin. Ako natuwa ako kay Mugi Kaduwaki kasi may kamukha siya nung sa poster. Sa akin naman, nung sa poster, ang kamukha niya sa akin is yung Taiwanese actress na It Started with a Kiss. So, akala ko siya yun. Sabi ko ba kasi It Started with a Kiss? Tapos parang, hindi. Pero alam mo yung mas seasoned actress tong si Mugi Kaduwaki. So, it's a good thing na-mention mo nga na she's one of the finest actors sa Japan in her age. She was born 1992 pala nun. So, yun. Tapos, yun nga, parang nakakalungkot siya. Ensemble siya in a way na puro yung ensemble women. Nagkabuklod-buklod sila para iangat yung mga sarili nila. No? Tapos at the same time, yun nga, parang di ba na-mention ko kanina before we started this recording, na na nag-usap kasi kami ni Steph Mayo about this. Tapos parang nabasa ko rin kasi yung review niya about this. Tapos mas nagka-interest ako nung in-explain niya yun nga na parang it's about, isa kanya, iba naman yung atake niya. Kasi tayo, the way that, or sa'yo John, the way that you reviewed it was yung cultural perspective na sa Japan is ganyan yung tingin nila sa women or yung they still are a patriarchal society. Sa kanya naman, nakita niya as an equal na similar sa experience niya sa single woman. Na gano'n din, same. It's the same tradition na feeling ko, pag napanood ko na ibang culture, maiintindihan nila kasi makikita na nila, they're living the old tradition na kapag hindi ka pa kasal by 35 or 37, you're nothing, ganun. Or, diba, kasi parang the way that she tried to have another relationship, parang ako yung napagod tsaka naawa sa kanya na. Kasi parang yun, hindi na, may isang scene, imbes na umupo siya doon, umalis na lang siya, nagtsaa siya sa kusina. Diba? Siya ng tea sa kusina. Kasi it's the same thing that they would do. Yun lang. Ay, sige, may sasabihin ka pa.
Yung iniisip ko kasi dito na interesting na yung pagka-frame niya na tipong the more higher up your social class, the more conservative you are. Na parang nafe-feel niyo ba yun? And then the lower you are on the social classes, the more you tend towards, pero not, I guess this is not a generalization, pero the more you tend towards different kinds of lifestyles, I guess. You're less, there's still a constraint, pero you're less constrained compared to your more wealthy. Kasi if you're more wealthy, parang there are certain impositions or certain expectations placed upon you. Na meanwhile, if you're not as wealthy, you don't have the same expectations. Wala naman paki yung magulang mo, basta mabuhay ka, di ba? I don't know. Parang, yeah, I guess it's I'm not sure if the film's trying to point it out, pero yun yung lumabas sa pagkagawa ng pelikula. Yeah, and interesting yung yung epilogue niya na kasi previously si Koichiro at saka tong si Hanako, this is their first marriage was basically a marriage of convenience. In that they both wanted to solve the problem of getting married. And then ayun, they found each other after 6 months, kasal na. Parang it's quite fast unless talagang mahal na mahal mo yung isa't isa. Pero hindi ko na feel yung pagka-whirlwind romance nitong dalawa eh. Diba? And the ending seems to hint that now that they're living these lives, there might be a chance either for a better understanding of each other, kung magkakabalikan ba sila or not or whatever. So, I don't know. Pero,
Oo.
yun. Yeah, I liked it. Yeah, it's quite good actually.
Mm-mm.
Siguro out of all of the films in the festival, nasa top 3 ko siya. Not
Mm.
counting Rashomon kasi classic 'yon. I mean, it's
Classic
one of
na
my
yun eh.
favorite.
Oo, iba standard na.
All-time favorite. Parang ito yung top 3 tas nandito yung Rashomon.
Oo, may
Iba
sarili
yun.
siyang category. Gano'n.
Pero
Hindi siya pwedeng umalis doon. Gano'n.
pero
Yun
yung
lang
nga
siya.
no, Ses, tama ka nga eh. I was interested in knowing what ano yung female perspective on the film eh. Kasi syempre ako, hindi ko naman lahat maintindihan yung struggles ng mga babae. Kasi hindi naman ako babae. So, yeah. Interesting na yun yung inano niya ni Steph about it.
Kasi sabi ko, in fairness, no, parang yun yung magiging common theme mo sa kanya. Kasi may isang tanong sa amin na parang, do you think na yung film na napanood mo, for example ako, yung film na napanood ko, makaka-connect ba siya sa wider audience? Kasi, yun nga, shameless plug, this is shown in 25 countries. So, paano kaya na-receive to ng mga countries na yun? So, ano yung general theme? So, yung sa amin, ang nakita namin, kasi hindi ko siya ni-research eh. Hindi ko alam na babae pala yung director. So, yun, I think that also says a lot. Kasi, let's say, Ito. I'm not sure if Ito, sorry, let me check. If Ito was directed by a man.
Ito was directed by a woman.
A woman, okay. Wag na yun. Wag na yun as an example. So, let's say, let's say si Akira Kurosawa, pag binigyan mo siya ng story about a girl, which is sakto si Rashomon, it's a story about a girl who's telling her own truth. Pero may ibang dalawang characters pa dun. Tapos he tried to paint her in the best light that he could. Pero yun nga, we're talking about the truth. So, the truth knows no gender. Okay lang. So, dito, parang hindi lang siya yung truth nung director, I guess, on a personal level. Truth to ng lahat ng babae sa mundo. Na parang pagdating mo ng certain age, they still follow that certain tradition. Ngayon nga lang may nag-message sa akin, kailan ko magkakaanak? Ganun.
Nako, 'di ba? Sa Pilipinas, in a lot of cultures, 'di ba, lumalabas yung mga ganyang conversations. Okay lang
Yes.
nasaan na yung apo ko, nasaan na yung ganyan. Parang it's unfair naman to the woman kasi if she doesn't want to have kids, parang that's her right to decide on that. Parang nakalagpas na tayo dun sa panahon na parang there has to be some sort of familial responsibility to bear children. And hindi ka naman magkakaanak para lang maging heir or para mapamana or mag-alaga sa iyo in the future. Parang as someone who's actively as someone who's newly married, actively thinking of should I start a family, should yun. Those things are also relevant to me.
Pero parang walang pressure ganun masyado sa'yo. Ang pressure madalas sa inyo as a guy, as a man is, afford niyo ba yan? Kaya mo ba yan? Supportan. Parang laging ganun. So it works both ways din. Pero you will never see, or siguro it's rare to have a film about men to tackle that. Parang mas madalas it's about world issues or something. Mas madalas sa amin laging, let's say si Ito. Okay, sorry. Si Ito talaga. Parang pwede mo kasi sila compare. Kasi to, I think of it as a character study of society and older traditions. Yun yung tingin ko sa aristocrats. Tas si Ito, direct pala siya ng babae. Pero kakaiba yung interpretation niya on that kind of female job. So, pero hindi siya tapos. So, later. Tas yun. So dito, natuwa ako na, buti siya yung nag-direct. Kasi, hindi niya in-insulto yung mga guy. Parang pinakita niya lang as is kung ano yung itsura ng mga naging kapartner ni Hanako. Tapos at the same time, sanay kasi ako kay Kiko Mizuhara na kayang-kaya talaga ni mga edgy roles. So, yung reaction ko nung napanood ko to, tapos parang ako, interesting siya. Parang sabihin ko, at least kahit hindi ko kilala yung mga actors, interesting. Tapos I put siya nandito si Kiko. okay, this is gonna be interesting. Ganun. Kasi, yun nga, magaling siyang kumuha ng roles na it's not just gonna be boring. Parang very, stand out siya. Which is also a sad fact, I guess. Kasi she's half American. So, kaya medyo contradicting yung ugali niya na kaya niyang maging Japanese, kaya na rin maging liberated as an American. So, yun.
I've already praised yung acting performance or yung acting prowess kumbaga ni Mugi Kadowaki before. Pero shoutout din kay Kiko Mizuhara kasi to be fair, mahusay din siya umarte. I've seen a lot of her other films, not just this one. You can, ayan nga, if you guys want to see more of Kiko, she debuted in Norwegian Wood, no?
Yes.
As Midori. Yun. Yeah, alam mo may screen presence yung batang yan. And also in the live action Attack on Titan film, she was Mikasa Ackerman. Don't watch them because they're not very good. As an Attack on Titan fan, please do not watch those films.
Hindi ko kasi alam pero nung pinapanood, parang what's this?
May pelikula siya sa movie. Dati, ewan ko lang ngayon. Malu was the title of the film. Yeah. Ano pa ba? She was in she had an interesting role in in a 2012 film called Helter Skelter. It's a Mika Ninagawa film. It's very very colorful, very psychedelic, very bloody film. Parang maliit lang yung role niya doon. It's her second film after Norwegian Wood. Pero nagmarka yun sa akin kasi katambal niya doon pangalan babae niya. Katambal niya yon si Erika Sawajiri who was in the drama 1 Liter of Tears. If you remember 1 Liter of Tears, Channel 7, nandun siya. Erika Sawajiri is a good actress pero sobrang, alam mo yun, wala na siya ngayon because of reasons. Pero, she was a good actress in her time and nakatambal niya nun si Kiko Mizuhara. And Helter Skelter is a very nice film. If you have Netflix, Kiko is in Ride or Die. The Japanese title is Kanojo. It's directed by Yuichi Hiroki. Ayan. Yuichi Hiroki is a male director pero he's directed a lot of interesting films ito siguro yung magandang mo, Ses. Instead this is a male director who tackles female problems.
Si Ride or Die.
Yung director ng Ride or Die, si Ryuichi Hiroki. If you remember, kung fan ka ng Iga Size Past, Ryuichi Hiroki directed Vibrator. This is a 2004 film, yeah. So, yun. Ride or Die, sobrang, kung kudos na lang kay Kiko Mizuhara sa performance niya doon. Kasi ibang level. Lahat ng kayang ilantad, nilantad niya.
Oo, yun yung sabi ng office mate ko dati. Kasi sobrang familiar siya sa akin sa Norwegian Wood kasi may kamukha siyang classmate ko ng high school. Tapos ganun din yung attire. So, parang, tapos bilang dito, girl, bakit nagpakita ka na ganun? Di ba sa Norwegian Wood? Girl, anong ginagawa mo? Ganun yung reaction ko sa kanya. Tapos, to think na first film niya yun. So parang, nung nakita ko na siya sa iba, nasa Annette din pala siya. Hindi ko pa napapanood Annette.
Nasa?
Annette.
Yeah. Isa siya sa mga chorus of yung mga accusers.
Oh, interesting. Sige.
Nandun si Kiko Mizuhara sa Annette. So, kung 6 degrees of separation, malapit-lapit siya kay Kevin Bacon kasi
nandun si
diba?
Kevin Bacon.
Hindi, wala si Kevin Bacon sa Annette.
Nakatrabaho niya sila,
Pero mako-connect mo na siya kasi nag-Hollywood film na si Kiko Mizuhara.
Hindi ko napanood, hindi ko matandaan si Kiko Mizuhara sa Annette. Nasa Annette pala siya?
Nasa Annette siya.
Oh, okay, I see.
Basta yung may mga sexual assault nga, basta mga ganun, harassment allegations. May parang chorus of women, tapos isa ka sa babae. Oo.
Saglit lang kasi.
Saglit lang. Parang halos cameo role. Pero
kaya
siya.
Kasi talaga siya, parang feeling ko, yun nga, isa siya sa mga interesting independent actresses ng Japan.
Yeah.
Kasi,
of her generation, yung mga earlier 90s, Kasi
Oo.
1990 si Kiko Mizara. She's
Oo,
also one
oo.
of the best din. Siya, ang mga notable na actresses ng mga henerasyon na yan, siya, si Yu Aoy, kung kilala si Yu Aoy, although Yu Aoy is a bit older, si Fumi Nikaido, yan, yung babaeng yan. Mahusay umarte yung babaeng yan. Fumi Nikaido was in several Sion Sono films. Yun. Mas may pagka-daring din siya, pero hindi siya kasing daring si Kiko Miso.
Sobra daw. As in. Kasi
Ano mo na kasi, Ses, parang I want to
Sige.
know your take. Kasi
Sige.
yung Ride or Die, I've read the original manga that the movie was based on. And although you can argue it's a lesbian relationship, it's a very dysfunctional lesbian relationship. I'm going to tell you that. Tsaka truth be told, parang there are a lot of, medyo dark talaga siya. There are a lot of dark themes. There are a lot of these people are behaving in very wrong, very, very immature, or very harmful ways to themselves. Ganun na lang. Yun. I want to see your thoughts on that. Pero yun nga, it's quite long, so nasa sayo kung gusto mo panoorin.
Sige lang, try ko.
Anyway,
Kasi very interesting yung niya, nung pagpili niya ng mga films. Yun nga, ang galing ng introduction sa kanya sa film na to. Spoiler alert, nasa cellphone siya. Tapos may tumatawag siya. Hinanap siya sa Facebook. Tapos parang ako,
siya nga yan.
nandito ka, sabi ko.
Hindi siya lumabas until like half of the film na no?
Oo. Tapos parang gets ko na agad na, okay, so lumabas siya. Okay, alam ko na agad. Tapos yun nga, parang naalala ko sa kanya si Ann Curtis sa Angulo. Tapos at the same time, yung role niya as Aya sa
Parang
Aya.
parang humahasel. Parang nga siyang yung sa Comrade sa Love Story. If you're to extend the magnitude.
Yung comparison ng film na to.
Working hard for the money.
Oo. Tapos, yun, galing. Tsaka here, yung character niya, she represents the modern
working woman.
Japanese. Kasi you won't see that most sa mga older films. Laging may kita yung mga babae doon. Either geisha type or housewives. Ganun. Wala siya masyadong yung parang super career driven. So, nice.
Interesting. Yeah. And so Aristocrats is based on a novel. The novel itself is actually the novelist who wrote the novel that Aristocrats was based on, wrote a number of other different, again, women-centric din yung mga subjects of her other works, either yung other novels niya or yung, because this novelist is also a screenwriter, yung mga films na sinulat niya. Particularly speaking of Ryuichi Hiroki, she screen wrote a Ryuichi Hiroki film called Koko wa Taikutsumukai ni Kite, or It's Boring Here, Pick Me Up, which is about nandun din si Mugi Kadawaki, no? So parang
andun siya.
So small world, di ba? So parang again, this is a film about women doing things that they should do. Yan. Kasi matagal ko na hindi napapanood. Just 2017 ko pa yata napanood. Anyway, whatever. Any final thoughts, Ses, before we move on to the next film? Medyo napahaba-haba tayo sa Aristocrats.
Sorry.
Maganda kasi, I understand. Maganda naman kasi
maganda
talaga.
siya. Kaya hindi ko siya, di ba, parang ilang araw ko na siyang sinachat sa inyo. Kasi sobrang na-move talaga ako na parang wow. Tapos, wow. Kasi very subtle siya. Tapos at the same time, tama yung pacing ng kwento niya na parang moves backwards. At the same time, what? Parang, di ba? Kung dito ngayon ginawa, sobrang scandalous na siya. Pero for them to be able to write it that way, sobrang okay.
Ayun. So, yun nga. Tama. So, sana more power na lang sa team. Gano'n.
Yes. Sige po.
So the next film is a film that sa amin tatlo, ako lang yung nakapanood, unfortunately. This is Ito. The original title is Ito Michi, which I will explain later. So this Ito Michi is directed by Satoko Yokohama. Satoko Yokohama is from Aomori Prefecture in Japan. So medyo kanayunan, mga ganun level of probinsya. So Ito is not actually her first movie about Aomori Prefecture. She directed Ultra Miracle Love Story. It's also set in Aomori Prefecture, starring Kenichi Matsuyama, which is about this quirky young man living in Aomori Prefecture. So yung mga movies niya are these quirky characters that have a relationship to her hometown. At least yung dalawang napanood ko. So here in Ito Michi, Ito is a high school student living in Aomori Prefecture. You might notice, if you guys have watched Ito already, she talks in that Tsunagu dialect, which is a very hard to understand dialect na pamprobinsya. Parang kung Tagalog ka, nagsasalita sa iyo in medyo Bicolano, ewan ko kung basta malayo siya sa Tagalog. Oo, kaya
kasi napanood ko siya ng una, even doon sa
subtitles, di ba?
Subtitles, kita mo na iba yung pagbasa ng mga
tama yun, kasi she's if you base sa Japanese na ginagamit niya doon, it's very hard to understand. May parang inflection siya na hindi mo mapipick up even if you're a native Japanese speaker. So talagang ganun ka-heavy yung accent niya, yung dialect niya.
Akala ko nga German o kaya parang mga Russian.
Di ba gumagano siya?
Ganun yung accent.
So this girl is very good at playing shamisen. She learned from her deceased mother. But Ito is a very, very shy person. So in order to break out of her shell, she joins a maid cafe. So as someone who's already gone to a maid cafe before, nakapunta na ba kayo ng maid cafe? So parang it's just your usual restaurant. Lahat ng waiters and waitresses, mga maids sila. Or in some cases, butlers. Pero depende sa'yo. So ang tawag nila sa Goshujitsama or parang master. Parang here is your, parang lalagyan nila ng eto masasabi ko sa main cafes, they're pretty expensive. Pero anyway, hindi naman yung pagkain yung kinakain mo, yung parang experience. Kasi parang lalagyan nila ng parang heartbeat, lalagyan nila ng bendition yung pagkain para mas sumarap kunyari. Parang ganun. So, pero anyway, main cafes, by their nature, it is a job that requires you to socialize with people. And that's what Ito does. And stuff happens. No, it's a coming of age film. In terms of superficially anyway, in terms of message, it reminds me a lot of James Mayo's The Chanters. No,
actually dyan,
diba?
Nung nasimulan ko siya ng mga kasi napanood ko naman yung film mga 20 minutes kaso nga may ginawa ako, nag-expire na yung
nag-expire na yung oras.
Yung oras yung rental ko. Sayang di ko natuloy.
Ito is this cultural worker that as a cultural worker, as an artist, she wants to express her art. Pero dahil shy siya, hindi niya ma-express yun. It's antithetical to the nature of art itself that you want to express yourself to the world. Pero dahil shy ka, hindi mo magawa yun. So, yun yung isang angulo niya. Yung pangalawang angulo niya, which is more in line with yung The Chanters nga, something very, very traditional, which is traditional shamisen playing. And not just any shamisen playing, it's shamisen playing na may Tsunagu dialect. It's juxtaposed with this relatively modern concept of the maid cafe. Diba? So there is if you can look at the posters, nandun si Ito, parang playing a shamisen na ganun, na nandun yung traditional, nandun yung modern, and they're together and they can coexist together. And I think that's one of the other themes that Ito is, going on. Yun nga, and important then is, Ito is, it's about communication, di ba? Ito cannot communicate with her peers because she talks in a dialect that is very hard to understand. Number one. Number two, she's an artist, so she can technically communicate with her art, which is her shamisen playing. But hindi siya napapractice. Hindi siya, at shy siya. She doesn't want to perform in front of an audience. Which is why yung climax ng Ito, which I guess spoiler alert, she decides to play her shamisen in front of this crowd of people. Some of them are strangers, which she does not know. Sobrang it's a liberating moment, cathartic moment talaga siya, which is why I really like this film. I love this film actually. Parang this is the courage that I've built up over working here. This is ito yung parang compromise, hindi naman compromise eh. This is the balance that I have found with my tradition, with my culture, and with yung modern society. Number 2.
Yan may tanong ako. Kasi di ba may nakapanood tayo sa TIFF 2020 nung The Disciple? Is it the same? Or parang may similarity?
Kasi sa Disciple,
India ka naman kasi yun, di ba?
Yeah, although there is parang may clash between modernity and traditional art.
Yun dun sa film.
Yung artist kasi sa The Disciple, hindi siya magaling. Kahit na anong training niya, hindi niya maatim wala siyang makitang enlightenment from it. In contrast to itong si girl, magaling talaga siya mag-shamisen. As in, siya pro, she's a pro. Kung makita mo yung pag-play niya sa climax ng film, sobrang galing niya. At yung parang doon sa guy, yung resolution doon sa The Disciple, he parang resolves his conflict by parang working adjacent to the art. Parang taga-promote siya ng art instead of
kasi
doing the art.
Built siya ng di ba, ng school. Parang na siya founder sa The Disciple.
Itong si Ito, yung resolution ng kanyang art is she uses yung confidence niya, she uses yung social interactions niya with other people to be able to express herself, to communicate herself properly to everyone else. Kaya parang ito ang paraan ko para i-express ang aking sarili. This is me. Parang ganun, this is me. Parang not by rejecting yung pagka-artistry ko na dahil wala akong kwenta, which is in The Disciple, pero ilalabas ko yung angkin kong galing. Dahil before, nahihiya ako, hindi ko kaya, hindi ko alam kung magagawa ko ng tama. Although yun nga, may konti similarities, pero yung resolution ng arcs ng both characters, they're very different.
Okay.
Pinanood ko yung doon sa, if you go to the JFF YouTube channel, there's a interview that yung sinasabi nila paano yung pilian ng film. Totoko Yokohama talks about, kasi namimili siya, when she was casting the film, gusto niya talaga taga-Aomori yung gumanap. Doon sa original na pinagbasehan ng Itomichi, yung original novel, if I'm not mistaken, the original character of Ito was a small person. Pero si Renko Mai, sobrang tangkad niya, di ba? Parang siyang very lanky na, very clumsy girl na malaki. Parang damulag. Pero parang dun niya dinala sa body language niya yon, yung pagka-awkward niya socially. Yun. Pero anyway yon. And also Ito, the original title of Ito is Itomichi. Itomichi refers to yung grooves mo the grooves in your fingernails pag masyado ka napapractice ng shamisen. Pag hindi ka nakapractice ng shamisen for a long time, nawawala yung grooves na yon. So parang it's I guess it's one, it's a reference to the title character, and the other one is it's a reference to yung to the craft itself. Yung parang pag-hone mo ng sarili, how you hone yourself, not just in the skill itself, Pero how you hone yourself in wanting to express that skill to others. Anyway, sana naintindihan yung pinagsasabi ko. Parang nag-lecture, ganun. Class, yan po ang ating lecture on molecular, ganyan. Charot.
Nagets ko naman kasi kahit paano simulan ko yung film. Nga lang,
Oo.
may ibang task na ginawa. Ayan, pagbalik, expire na.
Yung tatlong films na yun yung top 3 ko. It's a summer film, Aristocrats, ito. Yung tatlong yun ang top 3 ko. Sana mapanood nyo in the future, along the line, maybe sa future of the festival. Ayun. Si Renko Mai ay nasa True Mothers siya. If you've seen True Mothers.
Yes.
Renko Mai is in there. I think
Cinema says yung True
Yung
Mothers.
oo.
Naomi Kawase yan, diba?
Naomi Kawase to. Isa siya sa mga
2015.
Yung girls.
Si Renko Mai ay yung kapatid ni Ajo Makita. Si Ajo Makita yung mother.
Yung mother.
Kapatid niya si Renko Mai sa True Mother. So anyway, Naomi Kawase yan. Anyway, sige. Last film, wow. To end our little excursion into Japanese film 2022, this final film is the film that was assigned to CES, actually, no JFF. Yan. This is Atsuhiro Yamada's Awake. It's a film about Eiichi Kiyota, who is lumaki siya wanting to play shogi. Yon. Lumaki siya sa isang school for shogi, ganun. Anyway, na disillusion siya because he keeps on losing to this one guy, si Riku. And then in college, she decides to take up IT in order to create a shogi program that can defeat shogi pros. So according to the film, anyway, this Awake was based on a true story about a shogi computer program fighting against a seasoned shogi player. Shogi is Japanese chess, basically. It's a bit more complex.
Different variation lang siya.
Yeah. And until now, they've been trying to, develop the technology. Kasi compared to simpler games like checkers, chess,
traditional chess,
or even Japanese, like Go. Do you know Go?
Yes.
Yung
Sa
yung Go kasi if you watched AlphaGo, which is a documentary about a computer na nagpe-play ng Go, nakakatalo na siya ng masters. Pero itong shogi,
never.
Hindi naman sa never, parang it's more complicated. It's a more complex game than Go.
Okay. Kaya pala may caution dun sa dulo na na-stop yung AI games.
Na-stop yung AI games. I
Noong
think dahil may natalo.
2017.
Ewan ko.
Hindi, kasi you've come this far, you know that there's a spoiler here, Char. Kung sino ka man nakikinig. So, spoiler alert, siya, nagka-bug din. Kasi yung news na pinagbasehan nito, basically, news lang siya. Tapos yung filmmaker, nagka-interest siya na i-pick up kasi siya mismo, he's a player of shogi, pero he's not that good.
Okay.
He's not that good. So parang trinay niya lang balikan na, oo nga, naglalaro ko na mahirap yan, ganyan. Tapos yung catch nun is, natalo yung shogi dun sa 2015 na game. Pero nagtuloy pa rin yung AI games until 2017 kasi parang nagka-bug, which is the basis for the premise of the film.
Yeah.
So you've come this far. You know there's a spoiler coming.
Pero alam mo, sa akin, kasi I initially approached this na tipong, man versus AI, ganun. Pero sa totoo lang, hindi talaga.
Oo.
It's man versus man. It's Eiichi versus Riku, no? Yung philosophies nila towards shogi are very different. Si Eiichi, talagang ang gusto niyang yung purity ng game itself. Yung parang,
He's very strategic.
Strategic. He wants to create the perfect move na that can
Mm.
defeat masters. Di ba yun nga sinabi mo?
Mm.
And ito naman si Riku, yung
Very
hang-ups niya
intuitive.
is more, kasi paakyat siya to the master level.
Level.
Diba?
Mm.
So he's struggling to reach that level. Kahit na may parang scrutiny na pumapasok sa kanya, magaling ba talaga yan? Ganun. Yun eh. So, ganun lang naman talaga siya. It's very simple. It's a character study disguised as this. Parang, shogi, no? But it's really,
Just about ego. It's really
about
about
ego.
ego.
Yeah.
So, yun din ni-report ko. Ego lang talaga siya.
Ikaw, Ses, kasi ikaw, you've nag-play ka, tama ba ako? You've played competitively sa mga board
In high
games.
school. Yes.
Nung high school.
Oo. So, wala akong mapiling ibang sport. Nag-chess na lang ako. Nung high
Para
school.
maglaban tayo, charot, chess tournament.
And nakarating ako ng private
Wow!
school organization. Na ganyan.
Ikaw na.
Pero nag-9th place lang ako. Tapos the next year. Pero third year lang ako nag-start.
Feel
Tapos
mo,
fourth year, nag-try. Tapos, ang pinaka ko lang talaga in my history of playing chess is nakatalo na ako ng GM.
wow!
Ng GM, ng Mindanao. Yung basta tito ko siya. GM siya sa Mindanao. Tapos, natalo ko siya. Ang ang winning piece ko, yung rook. Sa corner ko yung king niya. At nakain ko yung...
paso nyo kami.
at nakain ko yung queen niya early on. So, napain ko yung queen. So, wala kami pares queen. Yun eh. Pero anyways, nakarelate ako dun sa film kasi nga, I played competitive chess nung high school na it really is all about ego as in. So, ako din, actually dyan, same tayo. Ang approach ko dito is about man versus AI. Tapos, gusto ko pa siya i-compare sa AI, yung artificial intelligence na film, ganyan. But when you watch the film, may nagsusupport dun sa program. Me also as an IT person.
Yeah.
Sabi ko nga dun sa, hindi ko masyadong binadcast dun sa as an IT person din, you don't do programs that way. Ang programs, hindi siya click and enter.
May tao na nag-program yan, di ba?
When you run the program, it runs on its own. Kasi kaya nga siya may logic. Kasi yung logic niya yung mag-understand ng next na move. So, all in all, plot lang talaga yung AI na part. Wala talagang program. The program is about to ang tawag doon, hindi siya comrade eh. Ano ba tawag doon? Parang si Voltes 5 tsaka yung pinakamatindi nilang kalaban na lagi na next episode. Yan, rival. Sorry. Si Voltes 5. Two rivals na they meet their end, parang ganun. Kasi okay, you've come this far. Alam mo, magkaka-spoiler dito. Kasi yung ending naman, naging magkaibigan sila eh. So, parang...
Parang they both love the game naman.
Yes.
And yan.
I appreciate din yung pacing ng film na a lot of reviews have come out na parang boring siya. Ganun. Kasi, yun nga, medyo mahirap lang i-translate yun. Na ganun kasi siya laruin. Medyo may patience mo talaga. So, parang feeling ko pinattern siya dun sa style ng laro. Na may times na makikita mo na nagka-calculate si Ichi. Yung kinakalculate niya yung bawat galaw niya, kahit na hindi na siya naglalaro ng game. Kinakalculate niya kung magka-college ba siya, sino approach niya mga tao, di ba? So, yun.
Ayan. Yun. Basically, yun. Gusto ko siya. It's not super, it's not the best. Pero I found yung personal conflicts quite entertaining.
Diyan, naglalaro ka ba ng shogi?
No. I know basic rules. Parang very chess-like siya. May additional pieces ka, tapos meron kang pwedeng additional na gawin pag naka-capture ka. Pag nakakain ka. Ang pagkakaintindi ko, sorry kung mali ako. Please correct me if I'm wrong, shogi listeners. Kung nakakain ka ng piraso ng kalaban mo, pwede mong gamitin yung kinapture mo na piece.
Yun nga eh. May part na ganun sa film. Kasi nagets ko na siya up until the part na basta may part doon na binalik niya yung piece na nakain niya. Sabi ko, ba't niya binalik? Kasi parang reverse side. Reverse sa likod, may symbol. Doon yun yung nilagay niya. Yun.
So,
Medyo nagets ko siya up until that part. Kasi pati yung Pati yung yung kung bakit nag-freak out siya na hindi pwede matuloy yung laro. Ano siya kumbaga in chess rule, stalemate siya, parang ganun. Pero hindi ko magets bakit pinilik yung piece. Yun lang. Yun lang yung hindi
Yun.
ko magets sa kanya.
Feel ko, kung may knowledge ka ng shogi, mas
ma-appreciate
ma-appreciate mo siya.
Mm.
Although, yun nga, it makes it a very niche film. Although, despite that, na-enjoy ko naman siya kahit na halos wala akong alam sa shogi.
Oh, and magaling yung performance ni Ichi. Si Ryu,
Yoshizawa. Teka lang, titingnan ko sa
Oo.
internet.
Ay, sasabihin mo,
Hindi ko
di
na
ba
magkamali.
yung sa Rider Kamen?
Ay, eto Ryo Yoshizawa. Ang sinabi ko doon kasi may post ako sa Facebook. Sorry sa mga listeners na hindi ko friends.
Sorry. Oo.
Ang Kamen Rider or Mask Rider, yan, kung nanonood kayo, Mask Rider Black, ganyan, it's the same series. Same franchise pala. Several of the actors in Awake are actually actors in different Kamen Rider series. In particular, si Ryo Yoshizawa, siya si Kamen Rider Meteor. Siya yung hindi siya yung main na Mask Rider. Siya yung parang alalay na Mask Rider. Pero Mask Rider pa rin siya. Tapos dalawa sa babae dito sa series na to, si Kana Mori at saka si Fumika Baba. They're both in other Kamen Rider series. Actually maraming. Si Kana Mori also appeared in another JFF film, Bread of Happiness. Nandun siya sa first segment. Tapos sa Masked Ward, yun nga, kaya nang sabi ko kanina, si Ryo Ochida, yung isang nurse, yung nurse na bata ang babae. Nasa Kamen Rider din siya. Kamen Rider Drive. So yung mga tokusatsu fans dyan na nakikinig sa Third World Cinema Club, like all zero of you, zero. Wala. Ayan. Nandun sila. Ayan. Other than Mask Rider pala, si Ryo Yoshizawa, he's in Tokyo Revengers na live action. Maybe lalabas yan sa Netflix in the future. He's also in a Netflix film that I really like. It's called Blue, Painful, and Brittle. Nasa Netflix yan. It's a parang incel story. It's about an incel. Parang ganun. Tapos siya yung incel yata, if I'm not mistaken. Pero anyway, ayun, he's actually in a lot of films eh. He was in the live action adaptation of Bleach. He was in River's Edge, which is also in Netflix. The Gintama live action. Mahilig siya sa mga mahilig siya sa mga manga adaptations na live action. Nandun si Ryo Yoshizawa. Kasi gwapo. To be fair, gwapo naman siya. I say this as a straight man. He's gwapo naman siya.
Very attractive naman siya. At magaling, very expressive siya. He
Oo.
reminds me of yung mga early Japanese actors na parang talagang all out yung acting, no? Parang mga 90s na actors na ganun.
Alam mo, for some reason, yung ano ba? Ano sasabihin ko? May isang actor doon na hindi ko ma-place. Yung parang friend nila na journalist.
Oo. Ano siya
May
schoolmate.
tsura. May tsura yung laki.
At saka bigla siya nag-appear out of nowhere. Ganon. Pero alam ko schoolmate ata siya or something.
Yeah, schoolmate siya na naging journalist after ng show. Pero anyway yun, masaya siya. It's a fun...
Sorry, na-mention mo, kamukha niya yung gumanap ng kontrabida role sa It's a Summer Film.
Pwede,
pero
no?
yung nasa It's a Summer Film, medyo lang siya, parang low grade na version ng konti. Konti lang. Comedy version, ganyan.
Comedy version.
Nung isa.
Pero yun, no? Any final thoughts on Awake before we end?
Ayun, if you're interested in learning shogi, aside from this, kagaya ng report ko, isa to sa hindi siya ganun ka-extensive eh. Parang it's the character study version of the game. Pero if you're interested in learning more about shogi, you can watch Zatoichi. There's a Zatoichi film na binerbalize nila yung game ng shogi.
Yeah, oo. At saka I think the main character for It's a Summer Film, parang ni-name drop niya si Shintaro Katsu,
Yes,
who
yes.
is
Yung
who's the
Japanese
star of the original
Toichi.
Zatoichi films. Shintaro Katsu made 26 Zatoichi films.
Toichi. Yes.
From 1960s maybe, until ang last niya was 1989, if I'm not mistaken.
Bale.
If you, I'm sure a lot of cinephiles here would recognize yung later na Zatoichi film, the 2003 film, which starred Takeshi Kitano as Zatoichi. Yung puting buhok. Yung may tap dancing. Yun. Pero yun, Zatoichi is a very nice franchise. I have a few posts sa blog ko about it if you want to know more. Kung meron din niya sa Criterion Collection, charot.
Oo, feeling ko meron. Well, very obvious yung kung saan mo mahanap yung shogi dito. It's just the Zatoichi and the chess expert na na film. Yun yung title. Japanese niya, hold on. Syempre kailangan Japanese.
Hinapon mo. Zatoichi to. Chessubasta.
Zatoichi, Chigoku Tabi, ganon. Mali, no? Tapos, pero yung isang medyo mas yung parang similar siya nitong Awake. Kasi dito sa Awake, ang redeeming factor ay yung parang as a chess player, maybe as someone who's been in competitive sports, like for example, ballet, na parang dapat bata ka pa mag-start. Ang shogi kasi ganun din. Same with Go. Dapat bata ka pa lang naglalaro ka na ng Go. And yung shogi, very big deal kasi yan sa Japan. Parang may sarili silang schools on shogi. As in, parang summer camp siya, pero imbes na summer camp, doon ka na talaga everyday. Kasi kailangan talaga ma-master mo yung bawat techniques. So if you wanna learn, or parang makaka-relate ka on a wholehearted level, I would suggest see The Miracle of Crybaby Shotan. So 2019 film siya. Tapos tungkol naman siya sa isang 35-year-old man na nag-resign tapos nag-aral siya ng shogi. Tapos parang ito siguro dyan yung perfect example na parang ito naman yung tinatry niyang as a man, he's trying to break as a male gender. He's trying to break free from yung traditional thoughts ng society on men. Na parang, hindi, dapat di ka na nag-chase ng dreams. Dapat settle down ka na. Ganun. Pero siya, he chased after his dreams kahit pa 35 years old na siya. So, gusto na lang talaga mag-shogi master. Tapos, yun. So, that's the Miracle of Crybaby Shotan. May isa pa nakalimutan ko lang. Pero yun naman, based yun sa totoong buhay. Search ko. Si Satoshi. So, si Satoshi, A Move for Tomorrow or Satoshi no Seishun. Based siya naman sa isang 27-year-old shogi player na namatay. Pero he didn't die because of shogi. He died kasi may sakit siya. Tapos parang he fought until he died. Parang gano'n. So, yun.
Yan. Si ano yan?
Napanood mo yun? Hindi ko siya
napanood ko na yung A Move for Tomorrow. Si ano yan? Shinichi Matsuyama, Masahiro Higashide. Si Masahiro Higashide, siya yung sa Asako 1 and 2 eh. Mga yun.
Okay.
Mga yung tao.
Pero sabi nila, mas intensive daw yun than Awake in terms of shogi.
Anyway, I guess ako, just to close, just a few short thoughts about as the other films of the Japanese Film Fest. Siguro one sentence lang. Bread of Happiness, nakakaiyak, divided into 3. My favorite is the second, followed by the third segment. Happy Flight, very fun film. It's not a romance. It's a slice of life in an airport. Masaya siya. Very suspenseful. Her Love Boils Bathwater. Yan, panood ko yan sa Igasai dati. Very nice film. Great performances. Siyempre, paborito ko yung lead actress niyan, yung basta yung sumo wrestler si Rie Minezawa, yon. Sumo wrestler yung pinakasalan niyan, pero naghiwalay sila. Basta bla bla bla. Masaya yung Her Love Boils Bathwater. Ano pa ba? Mio's Cookbook. Hindi ko ito masyadong type. It's a bit slow-paced. Pero may emotional scene dito sa gitna na nagustuhan ko. Sana may yung ano ko dito, sana mas may ano sila sa pagkain. May focus sa pagkain. Ozland, ang Ozland star-studded yan. Wow,
Yes.
si ano.
Hidetoshi Nishijima.
Hidetoshi Nishijima
Of
and
Drive
si
My
Haru.
Car.
Para siyang yung mga movies about a person na nasabak sa isang trabaho na hindi niya alam or gusto. Pero
Ano tawag doon? Fish out of water, di ba?
fish out of water, pero eventually nagustuhan niya yung
Yes.
trabaho niya. Yan.
Actually, nagustuhan ko din yung Ozland. Although,
Cute siya, cute siya.
cute siya. Pero parang nakapanood ka na ng ganitong klase ng
That's
pelikula.
true. It's
Saka
nothing
parang pang star cinema nga yung ganung peg.
very may pagka-formula siya and it's nothing you haven't watched before.
Yes.
Pero kung fan ka nung dalawang leads, kung fan ka ni Haru o kung fan ka ni Hidetoshi Nishijima, go lang kasi 'di ba?
Relax lang siya si Hidetoshi Nishijima dito. Enjoy lang.
Chill lang siya.
Chill lang siya, chill. Kasi sa Drive My Car, syempre, iba
very
yung emotion.
very emotional, very morose ganun. May dalawang anime films dito by the same director, Patema Inverted and Time of Eve. Doon sa dalawa, mas gusto ko yung Patema Inverted kasi mas buo yung kwento niya. Time of Eve, maganda yung concept pero parang sobrang gutay-gutay yung storya. Rashomon, of course, is a classic. Please watch it. Ganun-ganun. Real Life, napanood ko to sa Igasai din before 2017 yata. I love this film. It's hindi naman love, pero I like this film. It's a manga adaptation. It's fun. Kung fan ka ng Real Life, manood ka. Kung hindi ka fan ng Real Life, sige, manood ka pa rin. Masaya siya. I mean, pero medyo weird yung implications kasi he goes back to his high school self. Tapos yung high school self niya falls in love with a high school girl na crush na dati. Parang is that pedophilia? Or di ko alam. Charet. Sumodo, The Successors of Samurai. Kung interested ka sa sumo wrestlers, this is a fun documentary. Grabe na-shook ako nung sinabi ng director, ililibre ko kayo sa Yakiniku. Sabi ko, shit, mababankrupt tong director. Tama ba yun? Mabankrupt siya. As in, ang dami nilang kinain. Kung makita niyo yung bill, it's like $4,000. Parang The Chef of South Polar, I watched this way back in one of the first Igasais, 2011, I think. 2010, 2011, Igasai. It's very low-key. Comedy siya, pero sobrang, if you watch it the first time, baka mabagalan kayo. Pero I love the film din. Low-key comedy siya. Masaya siya for me. The Floating Castle is a historical drama. Hindi ko siya masyadong type. Parang they missed meron tong isang female character na historically sobrang galing ng mga ginawa niya. Pero parang dinownplay ng movie yung actions niya. So hindi ko masyadong nagustuhan. The God of Ramen, I watched this in Igasai 2014 or 2015. Nakakaiyak to. Kasi napuntahan ko yung bagong shop, yung bagong ramen shop nito bago namatay yung guy. Ayun, malungkot siya, pero kung mahilig ka sa ramen, go. Doon ka lang. Under the Open Sky, we watched this at the Tokyo International Film Fest. I think not everyone I know like this film, pero ako ay gusto ko siya as a character study. It stars Koji Yakusho. And finally, Until the Break of Dawn, starring the late Kirin Kiki from Shoplifters et al. No? Ito yung tipong very quirky na premise na pwede mong gawing drama pero ginawa na lang nilang pelikula. And it has a cast of very interesting characters na either retired na ngayon, wala na. Si Kenichi Endo, nakikita mo sa Dr. X. Si Mirei Kiritani, na kinasal na, hindi mo na makikita yan. Graduate na. Si Ai Hashimoto. Ai Hashimoto was in a lot of films. Nasa Ozland siya actually, if you watched Ozland. Tori Matsuzaka was the lead character here. He was in a lot of films. Kung nanonood kayo na Netflix, he was in Asuka March. Yan. He's also in yung samurai na Power Rangers series. Siya yung pula. But anyway, and that's all of the Japanese films in the Japanese Film Festival. Sana marami kayong napanood like us. Sana makita namin kayo in 2023 kung buhay pa kaming tatlo. Tama ba yun? Ganon.
So, ay ganun eh.
So, until next ganon. So, ayun, you can go to the Japan Foundation channel, you can watch the interviews, you can go to their Facebook. May discussion sila Princess Dawn along with other friends of the podcast, including Chard Bulisay, Pep Mayo. They're talking about the films.
Yes, Guilty, La Bastilla.
Guilty, La Bastilla, SSFR. If you want reviews of the films, you can go to my blog, Present Confusion. I'm trying very slowly to write about most of the films sa festival. So may mga 4 pa ako siguro reviews na gustong isulat. Pero tingnan natin kung ganahan ako. And yun, thank you to the Japan Foundation for giving us, a way to watch these films. Invite nyo naman ako next year. Charot.
Yes.
Invite nyo ako next year.
If you're listening, you've come this far.
You've come this far, diba? And wherever you are, what time you're listening to this, konnichiwa, konbanwa. O yasumi nasai. Tama ba?
And I want to say pala na thank you for always listening dun sa mga sumusuporta. And we appreciate that.
What? Thank you sa support. Yeah. Gymanatics. Thank you, Gymanatics.
My gosh, wala akong fans club. Hindi ako sikat.
Gymanatics Baliwag Bulacan chapter.
Ano na naman
Ang kalat ko ng review ko kaya
dahil
dahil
lang kasi sa
Gymanatics Venezuela.
Kayo lang yun dyan sa Princess. Kayo yung mas kilala kaysa sa akin.
Wala, no?
Wala nga nag-invite sa akin eh. Charot.
Uy, may nag-invite sa'yo
Ay? Anyway, yun lang guys. So until next time guys, bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Stay safe guys.
Listen to all Third World Cinema Club episodes now on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and wherever you get your podcast from. This is John Tawasil and thank you for tuning. Follow us on Twitter and Facebook as Third World Cinema Club and on Instagram through Film Police Reviews. Do send us feedback and a wish list on guests that you'd like to have on the show through hello@filmpolicereviews.com.